Sometimes that's the way things work out. Vaughn he's a great kid and a great player and still 24 years old. So I think that there's a bright future ahead of him. But just thinking about the way that our roster is coming together, the path to having an impact here is probably not super clear. And so we're able to make this trade, bring in Isaiah Jackson, an outfielder that we like, young, just drafted last year, hits the ball hard, can play really good defense, and we're excited to get him into our development system.
Greg, is the timing of that related to having a spot open for tomorrow?
Not necessarily. These are conversations that are ongoing and typically last, days to weeks. We're glad we were able to get it done today. It does give us some flexibility, but that wasn't the driver there.
Greg, a year ago, the Crochet deal kind of came together pretty quickly in that final day overnight. Wondering if you could, maybe not something of that magnitude, but where you are in terms of irons in the fire and expectations for something of substance before you leave here in about 24 hours.
Sure. I've said this, I think, every time that I get asked about either signing a free agent or a trade. There are moments in time where you feel like things are really, really close, and then just a couple minutes later or hours later, and you feel like you're really far apart. So we're obviously engaged, across a bunch of different paths with other teams, with free agents. We're going to be aggressive and decisive and trying to improve our roster. Exactly when that will happen is just really hard to handicap.
Greg,
Can you
you've talked a lot about the need, for the power bat. How much is it a sliding scale with certain players about defense, which you've talked about wanting to improve, pretty significantly? Like, how much do you have to factor that in versus adding that big bat in any of these cases?
Yeah, everybody goes into the offseason with their ideal outcomes, and you quickly realize that that's the most unlikely path. So there is a sliding scale, but our offensive profile, I think, lacks a little bit of thump, and that's where we've set our sights. But there are other ways to improve the team. There will be other ways to improve the team. I think we're just going to exhaust that type of kind of power profile first before we potentially look at alternatives.
Craig, you'd said yesterday about kind of teams waiting for like the first shoe to drop. Do you feel like the Schwarber signing might start to get things kind of rolling in that direction?
It could. We'll find out, I think, over the next probably 24 hours or so. But until it happens, it's just so difficult to try and forecast.
Can you say at all how engaged you might have been with Kyle during the process?
Without getting to into the specifics of individual pursuits, there are a number of players who fit the profile that I've described. Certainly, he's one of them.
Greg, how would you describe the breadth of available trade possibilities? Are you finding that there are names on the market that you might not have anticipated at the start of the meetings, or has it been kind of a continuation of what you had been hearing at the GM meetings?
And not too many entrants into the trade market. And I think maybe more so than in past years, I think teams are very content to hold their really good players. Last year, even going back to the trade deadline, it seemed like Garrett Crochet was destined to be traded. It didn't happen at the deadline. It did, of course, over the offseason. Whereas this year, I think in a lot of the conversations that we've had, a number of teams have conveyed that they're very comfortable holding their players, as are we. And so that does add a little bit of a layer of difficulty in trying to make these things work.
Greg, Alex talked about earlier just giving Willier some runway against left-handed pitchers this year. How important is that for you guys and for his development?
Willier's a really good player. We've seen the way he's able to impact both sides of the ball. And he's earned the right to get some added runway versus left-handed pitching. We feel like it's an adjustment he's capable of making. And he's got such a solid defensive floor that having him out there more than not is going to help the overall the overall efforts of the team.
Greg, with the Rule 5 and now an available 40-man spot, would you expect that you might make a move there and take somebody? And in general, is not getting involved in the Rule 5 draft maybe a sign that a team is moved up the sort of competitive ranks where you're not comfortable giving a roster spot to an entire year for someone unproven?
We're still working through what our approach will be tomorrow, collecting information, identifying areas in the roster that could benefit from the available player pool. But I'm not sure it's necessarily true that it's kind of informative of a competitive level or competitive window. You can look at the success of some of our recent Rule 5 picks and say that those guys are able to contribute on a championship caliber team. We need to find the right fit. We need to make sure that we're not going to hamstring ourselves, because 2026 is a really important season for us in terms of wins.